On this episode of Junkyard Gold, we're in dry, rust-free Maricopa, Arizona at Hidden Valley Auto Parts. I'm Steve Mignonti, hot rod historian, author, and lover of all things cars. I travel all across the country to uncover the forgotten and hidden gems from the automotive world. Where others see piles of rusted scrap metal, I see the cars for what they really are, junkyard gold. Arizona might be called a desert state, but it's anything but deserted. There are millions of people who live here, and most of them drive cars. But when those cars wear out, yeah, they come to the junkyard. But the good news is, the annual rainfall here in Arizona is only a fraction of what it is in most other states. As a result, most of these cars are clean, pristine, and rust-free. Let's go meet the lucky people who own this mouth-watering stash of clean metal here at Hidden Valley Auto Parts. I'm here with Jeff Hochter, the president of Hidden Valley Auto Parts. Now, Jeff, how long has this place been active?
Well, my parents started in 1961, and we've been in this present location for about 12 years.
Now, do you specialize in any particular type of car?
We like to keep it to 20 years and older. Any brand, it doesn't matter.
Now, the really special thing about this yard to me, and I think everybody watching this show, is the fact that we're in Arizona. What is it about Arizona that's so cool?
Well, we're dry climate. We hardly get any rain, and of course, no snow. There is a little rust, but not near like many of the other places in the country.
Yeah, I'd call it surface rust, not structural rust. And we did a couple of episodes, like in Pennsylvania, where the cars were breaking in half when we looked at them. So,
yeah, well, if it's been here all its life, it is a very rust-free car.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna start hunting in a couple of seconds. Where are the cars organized? How do you do that?
Well, we have the Ford section towards the front. There are 10 rows of Fords. There are 4 rows of Mopar. The AMC and foreign cars are together. We have quite a bit of Buick Olds Pontiac, and then the Chevrolets are separated from them.
Cool. All right. Well, this is Christmas morning for me. Every one of these aisles is a brand new gift I'm going to open up, so I'm going to get started right now. I thank you for the access, and have a great day. We'll get back in a little while.
Glad to have you.
Thanks. If you love the Fox Mustang, you need to at least like the Ford Fairmont. After all, without the Fairmont, there would not have been a Mustang. They share the same bones. Now, this one here is kind of interesting. While most Fairmonts were 4-door sedans and station wagons, kind of boring family cars, this is a 2-door post. This is a very rare body style, and you don't want to confuse this with the Futura roofline, which had that B-pillar, which was at an angle. Now, about 10 years ago, I actually turned one of these things into an altered wheelbase funny car replica for the street. But I gotta say, trying to find a 2-door post body, even in LA, took me 2 years. So here's a rust-free example right here. Kind of a sad thing to see it here in the boneyard. This is kind of cool. This is a 1965 Sport Fury convertible, a very rare body style. 1965, the Fury was totally redesigned and brought onto the full-size C-body platform. The year before, in 1964, the Fury was on the smaller, intermediate-sized B-body. But how do we know this is a Sport Fury? We look inside. Putting the Sport in the Sport Fury were standard bucket seats and a center console with the shifter right in the center there on the floor. Now, this stuff was very exotic in the early 60s. Mustangs had it, certain Corvairs had it, but it was a very, very exotic touch. And it paid tribute to British sports cars of the 1940s and 1950s. But we still have to know what's at the heart of the matter under the hood. Let's take a look. Okay, well, The two-barrel tells us this is the 383 with 270 horsepower. This is the base big block engine. From here, you could move up to the 383 four-barrel, or at the very top, the 365 horsepower street wedge with a big Carter AFB. So this is pretty cool. At least it's better than that. That Plymouth right there has the 318 Poly, which is quite a different engine. It's larger, heavier, and way less powerful than the 383. The wedge was actually a better engine. If this Sport Fury were my car, I would restore it right back to factory stock. C-body convertibles are hot. Now, keep in mind, there was about 43,065 Sport Furies built. All of them, except for 6,272, were hardtops. That makes this one rare car. And C-body convertibles are coming on strong with the prices of B-body and E-body convertibles going through the roof. Best of all, this car is an Arizona rust-free car. There is no rust, so no money from the budget would have to go into fixing floors or the frame. So for probably 15,000 bucks, I can get this car straightened out, painted, and get an interior in it, and then drive it, and then sell it for close to 60 at the right spot. So I would restore this baby and enjoy it. As I wander around here at Hidden Valley Auto Parts, I just got word that the guys from Roadkill, Dave Freiberger and Steve Dulcich, are going to be here building a project. I'm told it's going to be a Suzuki Samurai, and I think we just found it. Now, the Suzuki Samurai was first sold in the United States in 1985, and they went 10 years. These things go anywhere. They're excellent little off-road vehicles, and they're eminently modifiable. The great thing, too, is that they have a really big engine bay. Let's see what we got here. Okay, there's no engine in this one, no transmission. I'm guessing those guys are gonna swap out and put something bigger in here. Now, these things stock have a 1.3-liter four-cylinder with 63 horsepower. 1995 saw the end of Suzuki Samurai production in the States because of an unfortunate flap in the media about rollovers. They're not that tipsy, but the damage was done. I got a feeling that Freiberger and Dulcich will probably get this puppy running. That's their plan. They're gonna put this together with nothing but stuff from the junkyard. But this place is a bounty of potential. They'll get the stuff they need. And I hear it's coming up on a future episode of Roadkill. It's gonna be cool. Well, a Lincoln Continental Mark V and a two-door. These are pretty rare. Now, the four doors, they made about 10,000. Two-door hardtops like this one, somewhere around 1,400 of these things were built. What makes this one really special to me is it still wears its original white paint, and it's not rusty. I mean, it has some surface rust, but structural rust is about 0 on this thing. Now, this styling cycle saw use between 1958, 59, and 60. So this one here, we see the Dagmars on the front bumper. We know it's a 60. These were added for this final year. Now, the styling on these things is really over the top. You gotta remember, these things were designed during the age of Sputnik, the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies, and the UFO scares. So these things are really kind of space age. But again, this thing is a really well-preserved example. Pretty cool piece. And again, being built in the space age, it actually has some magnesium content inside. Pretty exotic stuff for a mass-produced car. Let's look at it. Now, keep in mind that magnesium really fell into prominence during World War II, mostly in aircraft applications. But by 1958, 59, and 60, well, it was used right here on this instrument cluster hood. And this thing right here that might look like plastic or aluminum is actually a magnesium casting. Now, Lincolns at this point in time are all automatics. And unlike Edsel, which was available around this same period of time, Lincoln used an automatic with the shift here on the column instead of the buttons you might have found on certain Edsels. But with that said, a pretty sporty interior on this thing. But of course, the engine is the heart of any car. Let's take a peek under the hood. Now, a car like this, fully loaded, could weigh nearly 3 tons, so it had to have plenty of engine. And Lincoln gave it that. From 58 on up, this is the 430 cubic inch engine that was standard in all of these big Lincolns. But here's the funny thing. This being a 1960, should have a 2-barrel carburetor. And there it is. The reason for that was the 58s and 59s were so thirsty, 9 to 12 miles to the gallon, Lincoln decided to go for efficiency in 1960 and replace the big 4-barrel with a single 2-barrel. This is one of the rare instances where a big 430 cubic inch engine came from factory with a 2-barrel carburetor. Crazy stuff. Beyond that, remnants of this car's unit construction are seen right here. These two rods that we see, these actually connect the radiator wall to the firewall because without a full frame, these were fairly flexible. So that's what these things do. They add some rigidity, but also allow the door gaps to be fine-tuned by the body fitters when these things are being final assembled. Of course, when you have a big, heavy car like this, moving it's one thing, stopping it is another one. Let's take a look at the brakes. While Pontiac and Buick were starting to play with aluminum brake drums around this period of time, Lincoln used a massive 11 by 3.5 inch drum up front and about the same size stuff in the back. Now, there is one twist. These are made of cast iron, but they have an integrally cast flange that sticks out right here. That actually sticks out beyond the rim and the tire into the airstream, so as this goes down the road, the air cools it and helps to draw the heat out of the drum. For 1959, 60, and around this time, it was strictly big drum brakes, but that was pretty much what all American full-size cars gave at the time. It worked. If this Lincoln were mine, you gotta remember, there was only 1,461 built. I think what I would do is I'd do a driver quality restoration on it. I wouldn't spend more than 10 or 15 grand, but these cars are coming on strong, and keep in mind, only 1,461 of these two-door hardtops were built. You would never see another one of these at the car show, that's for sure. All right, a lot more to see here in the yard. Let's keep walking. I've learned in the junkyard, you have to look at everything. Now, what looks here like an old Ford mess of a pickup truck actually has had an engine swap. This is a Pontiac 301 turbo engine out of an 80 or an 81 Trans Am or Formula Firebird. At first, it looks like a 350 or something like that, but here it is, man. This is the Rochester Quadrajet. On top of that manifold, here's the turbo, and even a little weird one-hole manifold that this thing came with. Now, these made 210 horsepower, and 301 guys love these because that block has thicker webbing than a standard carbureted 301, and these have really good connecting rods. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna keep your eyes open. I don't know what it is about old trucks, but they really attract the weirdest engine swaps, like this. Most people yawn when they think about Rambler 6-cylinder engines, especially the flatheads from the 1950s. Well, it's time to wake up. This is an aluminum block Rambler 6. You didn't know Rambler made aluminum blocks? They did. This is the die-cast aluminum engine block that was offered by Rambler in full-size cars between 1961 and 64. This one is a 63 Rambler Classic. Now, this engine could be had with the automatic, which is what we have here, or the 3-speed manual. Now, you might ask, why did Rambler offer an aluminum engine block? Well, that's because at the same time, in the early 60s, the Plymouth Slant 6 could be had with an aluminum block, as could the Buick, Olds, and Pontiac V8, the 215 in their compact cars, had aluminum block, and of course the Chevy Corvair, which was a competitor, so Rambler had to do something. Rambler didn't make these engine blocks by themselves. Instead, they were made for them by the National Lead Company, but there's something even cooler on this engine. This is cool. This is the 2-barrel intake manifold insert for the cylinder head. This is the power pack version of this engine. This would take a Carter 2-barrel carburetor and bring it up to 138 horsepower. Standard, these things took a single Holley 1-barrel and made 127 horsepower. Very, very cool. Now, the only problem with this engine is it had an Achilles heel, a real bad weakness. Now, there happens to be another one of these aluminum block AMCs here. Let me show you what that problem was. I happen to like weird American engines, from aluminum Slant 6s to aluminum Rambler engines. And I gotta say, way back, probably about 8 years ago, I found an aluminum Rambler engine in a Massachusetts junkyard. The only problem was that thing sat with the cylinder head off for 20+ years. The pistons were stuck inside. But still, it was so cool, I brought it all the way across country, back to California from Massachusetts, where I promptly gave it to an AMC collector. I couldn't begin to build it, but it was worth saving. It was cool. Well, here's the other of 2 aluminum Ramblers in this whole yard, and this one's a 1961 classic. Now, the thing about the engine is These have integrally cast iron cylinder liners. That means that the piston rides not on the parent aluminum, but on that iron liner. Well, the trouble is, once that piston wears away 20 or 30 thousandths worth of that bore, you can't replace them. They don't press in. Like I say, they're actually cast in place. There's no way to get rid of them and put new ones in. So that's the curse of the aluminum Rambler 6. Now this one here I looked at, this has actually got a number stamped on the side, as they all did, all 61,000. This is number 209. So this car probably was a very early production, 1961, and this is one of the first aluminum block Rambler engines made. Kind of cool. If this 63 Rambler Classic aluminum block were mine, well, I gotta say, I think I'd restore it. It's an Arizona rust-free car. The engine may or may not be stuck, but when there's a will, there's a way. You could probably fix it up. And it's important to remember, this is essentially the Rambler version of the '69 Camaro ZL1, you know, the all-aluminum 427 Camaro. I mean, really, you could restore this car, drive it around the car shows, pop the hood and say, did you know that American Motors made an aluminum six-cylinder? No way. Yeah, right here. I'd say go for it, restore it, hit the road with it again, and share it with the world. Okay, lots more to see here. Let's keep going. This is a couple of 1958 Ford Thunderbirds. Now, a lot of people think that Ford really blew it when they grew the car to a four-seater from the two-seaters of 1957 back to 55. Well, guess what? Sales almost doubled from 21,380 in 1957 to 37,892 in 58. So these things actually sold far better than the two-seaters did. And even more, MotorTrend magazine awarded the 58 Thunderbird its Car of the Year in 1958. Now, this platform was used for a few years, but there's something about 1958 Thunderbirds that sets them apart. Let's take a look. When Ford enlarged the Thunderbird from the little two-seater of 1957 to the big four-seater of 1958, they changed from the leaf springs of 57 to these coil springs. Now, the idea was that as Thunderbird went from year to year, for 1959, they would have an air suspension. Well, guess what? The engineers never quite got it right. It was supposed to be called the Ford Air airbag suspension. Well, it never happened. So as a result, for 1959, these big Thunderbirds went back to parallel leaf springs. So that makes 1958 Thunderbirds a one-year-only proposition. This 1964 Mercury Comet Caliente would be an excellent replica of Jack Christman's supercharged match racer from 1964. Now, if you didn't know, Jolly Jack Christman was a drag racing legend through the 1950s and into the 60s and 70s. But in 1964, he approached Sachs & Sons Lincoln Mercury of Downey, California, and they gave him a brand new 289 two-barrel powered Mercury. Well, that didn't stay for very long. What he did is got a 427 Ford, put a GMC supercharger on it, and set it up for nitromethane. Put some American Racing torque thrust, big fat slicks on the back, Thunderbolt rear suspension, and he took it match racing. It was the world's first supercharged nitro funny car, predating the Mercury Comets of '66 by 2 full years. Christman's Comet was a legend. At the same time, Dodge had 2 Dodge 330 max wedges with gas-burning supercharged engines. Well, Christman used to chase them. They were called the Dodge Chargers. It was a factory-backed drag racing team. Christman would follow those 2 cars around the country and blow their doors off. After running all over the country match racing in 1964 and chasing the Dodge Chargers around, Jack Christman took a few months to modify the car and update it for 1965. Out came the 427 wedge, in went a 427 camber. In the middle of the car, set back about 5 to 10 inches so that it had better weight distribution. He kept the 671 blower and then went to a direct drive. The front suspension was changed out for a beam axle, and he sprayed the car red. After all those modifications and that red paint, the car hit the strip again and further reinforced its legendary status. In fact, today that car exists in a Connecticut collection. If this were my car, well, I think you know what would happen. I would build this into a first-generation Christmas Comet. Now, you might say, dude, this thing's stripped out, it's junk. Well, guess what? When you build a funny car, less is more. The hard work has already been done. We don't have to strip this. And keep in mind, when you build a funny car, you've got to use fiberglass for the doors, hood, and front fenders. So these things, because they're not here, doesn't matter. What we need is this very clean Arizona rust-free shell. From there, we build it on up with a big 427, a supercharger, a 4-speed, and all the goodies that Chrisman used the first time around. I would build this thing so I could run it on the street or strip, and I think that would be awesome. That's what I would do with this thing. Well, that's our show from Hidden Valley Auto Parts here in Maricopa, Arizona. We saw an awesome 1965 Plymouth Sport Fury convertible, a 1960 Lincoln Mark V Continental, a 1963 Rambler Classic with the aluminum 6-cylinder motor, and a 1964 Mercury Comet Caliente that would make an awesome Jack Chrisman funny car replica. And best of all, every one of the cars I saw here in this yard is rust-free, bone-dry Arizona metal. That's our show for now, but if there's something you want to see on Junkyard Gold or a boneyard you think we need to come and hit, let us know. Well, thank you for watching Junkyard Gold. We'll see you again soon. Of the 64 version, Jack Chrisman supercharged. God. Oh my. Okay. Yeah, I know. All right. That's perfect.